Welcome to a course on complex analysis. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the behavior of the functions near isolated singular points. Okay. In the previous lectures, we have seen that there are three types of isolated singular points, namely the pole, removable singularity, and the essential singularity, right? So, if if the function fails to be analytic at the particular point, then the point is called as singularity. Only that point, at that point only the function fails to be analytic, right? So what happens near that point? That is the question. That is a question that we are going to address in this lecture. Okay. The first one is, if we have a pole to a particular function, then near the pole function attains infinity. Okay. So we know that limit z approaches z naught, this is different from f of z naught, right? So this and this can be equal only when the function is continuous at that point. Okay, here the continuity is not the function is not analytic, so they cannot be equal at all, right? So this is what we'll have to prove. Okay, fine. Given z naught is a pole of f of z, then f of z can be written as some phi of z upon z minus z naught to the power m by assuming f of z has a pole of order m, and your phi of z naught, actually your phi of z is analytic. This is analytic at z naught, and your phi of z naught is not equal to 0. Okay, now we'll have to examine the limit of, actually what is our claim? The claim is to prove limit z approaches z naught f of z equals infinity. So this is what we'll have to prove, that is to prove limit z approaches z naught 1 upon f of z, this quantity is equal to 0. If we prove this, then we are done, right? So for which let us consider limit z approaches z naught 1 upon f of z, this quantity is what? Limit z approaches z naught 1 upon phi of z upon z minus z naught to the power m. So this may be written as limit z approaches z naught z minus z naught to the power m upon phi of z. Okay, so this becomes limit z approaches z naught to the function z minus z naught to the power m upon limit z approaches z naught phi of z. Since your phi of z is analytic at z naught and that is not equal to 0, this is equal to phi of z naught, and in the numerator you have 0, therefore it is 0. This very well proves the necessary, like this proves limit z approaches z naught f of z is infinity. Okay, this completes the proof. The next theorem that we are going to see is when the function admits a removable singular point, right? So here it is said that if z0 is a removable singular point of a function, if, so we are given that f of z has a removable singularity at z naught. Then we'll have to prove this f can be made analytic in some deleted neighborhood, right? So the claim is to prove f is analytic and bounded in some deleted neighborhood. We are not talking about all the deleted neighborhoods of Z naught. We are just talking about one particular neighborhood. If there exists more than one neighborhood, that is completely fine. But we'll have to identify some neighborhood of Z naught, some deleted neighborhood of Z naught. Because why we are taking deleted neighborhood here? Of course, we cannot take the entire neighborhood because the function admits a removable singularity at the point z naught, which will be a member of the neighborhood. If we just remove that center of the neighborhood from the entire neighborhood, that becomes a deleted neighborhood. In the deleted neighborhood, we'll have to prove the function is analytic as well as bounded. So this is what we'll have to prove. Okay, so the proof is quite easy. We use the fact that f of z is analytic in the disk in a disk absolute of z minus z naught less than r when f of z naught is properly defined. So what do we mean by this? The properly defined and all those things. We know by the definition. We know by the definition of a removable singularity. The Lorentz series. Lorentz series of f of z at z naught that is expressed in this form only. Like what can I say? Summation n runs from 0 to infinity an z minus z naught to the power n. It is in this format only. So we'll not have any principal part. Actually, we'll not have any principal part. Only the positive powers of z minus z naught is present in the Lorentz series expression when the function has a removable singularity at some point. Okay, so if we define, so generally when we defined f of z, this will this shall be written in this form where at z naught this is not properly defined. So from which you can very well notice that your f of z naught is going to be simply your a naught value. Okay, so for z naught equals z naught, if you define this way, and for this if you define a naught to be the value when z equals z naught, then what happens? The function is well defined as well as it is analytic everywhere in the disk that you take. Okay, here this r can be anything. Okay, it can be r or r2, whatever. Okay, let me just take that radius as r2. So in this case, f is continuous in the closed disk absolute of z minus z naught smaller than or equals epsilon, where your epsilon can be any value which is smaller than your r2. Okay, when this is so, image of f is what? Image of f is closed and bounded. Therefore we can say the function is a bounded. This function is bounded in the disk absolute of z minus z naught smaller than or equals epsilon, right? So therefore f must be bounded in the deleted neighborhood 0 smaller than absolute of z minus z naught smaller than. Okay, so here what we have done is that we have just we have redefined function in this way, and we are looking for some we are actually looking for some disk. Okay, with center z naught, we are looking for some disk in which the function is properly defined and is continuous analytic, everything is there, right? So basically continuous function is an analytic function. Now we use the property that f is a continuous map from a closed set to C. Okay, here f is defined from this set. Okay, let me call this this disk as, if I call this disk as D2 set of complex numbers, right? So under Euclidean metric, we know that a continuous image of a compact set is compact. This is closed and bounded one, hence it is compact. So the image set is also going to be a compact one. Compact means closed and bounded. Here I just take this boundedness. So it is, the function is being bounded in this disk specified. Okay. So when I remove the point z naught, okay, this is my disk D. Okay. The redefined function, let me call it as f1 of z. Okay, original f of z is your this thing. Okay, this is not defined at the point z naught. Okay, even if it is defined, it has a removable singularity. That is the case we have. We just remove this one. So in your d minus set 0, in this your f of z and f1 of z are identically equal. Am I right? We have just omitted the point z naught. That is the point in which these two functions behave differently. I have omitted that point, and I look at these two functions. These two functions are similar. When the modified one, here I have spoken everything about the modified function f1. Actually, here I have spoken everything about f1 only, right? So f1 is being bounded in this disk. Okay, I just remove one point from it. Still, everywhere it is bounded everywhere on the disk. I just removed few points from the disk, then still the function is behaving bounded in that particular part, right? So actually this is what we have proved, right? Therefore f is analytic and bounded in some deleted neighborhood of the point z naught, and this completes the theorem. Actually what we have proved is, in the next theorem, which can be treated as the converse part of the previous theorem. Here it is given that a function is analytic and bounded in some deleted neighborhood. Okay, so if there are two possibilities. At C naught, the function may be analytic or may not be analytic. If it is analytic, we have no theory to discuss. If it is not analytic, then what happens? Then it must have a removable singularity there, and that is what we are going to prove in this lemma. Right? So let us start the proof. So actually it is given f is analytic and bounded in some deleted neighborhood 0 smaller than absolute of z minus z naught smaller than epsilon. Okay, we'll have to okay, actually the assumption that we are going to take is f is not analytic at z naught. Okay, at z naught, what happens to the function that we haven't discussed or that is not specified in the hypothesis? So we assume that is not analytic at the point z naught. Now the claim is to prove f has a removable singularity there. So that means at the point z naught. Okay, so this is what we'll have to prove. In order to prove this, what we are going to do is that since f is not analytic at z naught, it has a removable, sorry, it has a Lorentz series expansion. Lorentz series expansion about the point z naught. So that shall be written as f of z equals summation n runs from 0 to infinity an z minus z naught to the power n plus summation n runs from 1 to infinity bn upon z minus z naught to the power n. Okay, so this is valid throughout the deleted neighborhood. Then in what? Throughout the deleted neighborhood, absolute of z lie z minus z naught lying between 0 and epsilon. In this neighborhood, it is happening to be true. Okay. Now, if C denotes a positively oriented circle, absolute of z minus z naught smaller, sorry, equals rho, where this rho value has to be smaller than epsilon. Then the coefficients Bn can be written as Bn equals 1 upon 2 pi I integral over C f of z dz upon z minus z naught to the power minus n plus 1 with n running from 1 to etc. Okay, now we'll make use of the boundedness of the function f. Right, how are we going to make use of it? By the boundedness of f, we have absolute of f of z is smaller than or equals m whenever 0 smaller than absolute of z minus z naught smaller than epsilon, right? So with which absolute of bn is going to be absolute of 1 upon 2 pi I integral over c f of z dz upon z minus z naught to the power minus n plus 1. Okay, this is gonna happen. So when we simplify it, it is absolute of bn smaller than or equals, when we take the integral to the, sorry, absolute to the inner side, so we get this quantity integral over c, and like this is the bound of f of z upon absolute of z minus z naught to the power minus n plus 1, and the length of multiplied with the length of c, right? This has to be there. So this is nothing but 1 upon 2 pi. This is smaller than or equals, the numerator part is m, and absolute of z minus z naught, it is the it is rho to the power minus n plus 1, and length of row is 2 pi rho. Okay, 2 pi and 2 pi gets cancelled, and we are left with m upon rho to the power minus n. Okay, since the value of rho is very small, we get bn equals 0 for n equals 1, 2, 3, etc. Because if you just see, this epsilon can be chosen however small, right? So we are choosing rho value to be smaller than epsilon. So we know that epsilon itself is some small negligible quantity. If that is so, the rho value has to be like that. Okay, it is even smaller than epsilon, so that is very small, so it is almost a negligible quantity. We have the negligible quantity in the denominator with the negative power, so which means it is there in the numerator. We shall have that way, right? So absolute of bn is smaller than a very small quantity that can be however small. In that case, we get bn to be equal to 0, right? So that is what we get. So now, with which what we are going to say? So in the Lorentz series expansion, Bn equals 0 for all n running from 1, 2, 3, etc. Therefore, it has no principal part. Hence, by the definition of a removable singularity, f of z is concluded to have a removable singularity at the point z0. This completes the proof, right? So the next theorem that we are going to see is the behavior of the function near essential singularity, right? So here it is given that suppose z0 is the point of essential singularity to the function f, and w0 be any number, right? Then for any positive number epsilon. So here we are free to choose the point w0, and we are free to choose the point epsilon. Okay, the inequality absolute of f of z minus w naught smaller than epsilon, this inequality is satisfied at some point in the deleted neighborhood. Okay, at some point, which means it is not necessary that it has to satisfy at every point. If it is satisfying at more than one point, it is well and good, but this inequality is being satisfied for at least one point in the deleted neighborhood of z naught. So this is what we'll have to prove. Okay, so let us start the proof. Here the proof is by contradiction. Okay, the assumption, the hypothesis are there in the statement itself, so let me not write it again. So here z naught is an isolated singularity, right? Since it is an isolated singularity of f, there is a deleted neighborhood there is some deleted neighborhood 0 smaller than absolute of z minus z naught smaller than delta throughout which f is analytic. Okay, so we assume, okay, here is where the contradiction statement that we are going to assume absolute of f of z minus w naught is bigger than or equals epsilon when 0 smaller than absolute of this quantity is less than delta, which means for all the points the inequality is not satisfied. We'll have to prove it is satisfied at least at one point. We assume it is not being satisfied at all the points. So this is the assumption that we have taken. So when this is true, then we define g of z to be 1 upon f of z minus omega naught, and this is 0 smaller than absolute of z minus z naught smaller than delta, right? So when you just take the absolute of g of z, okay, let me just do it here. Absolute of g of z is 1 upon f of z minus omega z, and this is 1 upon absolute of f of z minus omega naught. We It is bigger than or equals epsilon. Okay, when we just take the reciprocal, uh, it becomes smaller than or equals epsilon. Therefore this is smaller than or equals 1 upon epsilon, which proves your g of z is bounded, right? So anyway, epsilon is some positive quantity. Okay, when epsilon is some positive quantity, 1 upon epsilon is also some positive quantity. That guarantees, okay, actually that tells us that your g of z is bounded. Okay, it is bounded. We have no issue about it. Okay, and uh, and what, can it be analytic? Yes, because when you have a singularity at z naught, we are able to identify some deleted neighborhood in which the function is analytic. Okay, if f is analytic, then of course f of z minus w naught is analytic. Okay, unless your f of, okay, unless your f of z equals w naught, we have no issue in the denominator. Okay, that cannot happen, right? So g of z is bounded and analytic in the domain of its definition. So what do we mean by this domain of its definition? When can we define this function? So the domain of definition includes the point where your f of z not equals w naught. Okay, so the domain consists of the points z and c such that f of z not equals w naught. If it happens, if f of z equals w naught, then the function is not at all defined. When the function is not at all defined, we don't need to talk about more. Okay, anyway the function is not going to be continuous. When it is not continuous, it is of course not differentiable, and hence analyticity won't be there at that point. Okay, but at the points where the function is defined, we have just proved the function is bounded, and using the properties of analytic functions, one can easily establish the function is analytic as well, right? So what, so we'll just have to prove z naught is a removable singularity to this. Okay, we have a bounded and analytic function in some domain. Okay, uh, this includes the deleted neighborhood, right? So by the previous lemma, your g of z has a removable singularity at z naught. Okay, so we just make the definition, and as I showed you guys in the previous lemma, like, yeah, in the previous theorem I have showed you the way of constructing analytic function from a function having a removable singularity, right? So in this way you can very well make your function g to be analytic. Okay, here you can make your function g to be analytic, right? So let g be defined at z naught so that it is analytic there. Okay, now we are going to discuss two cases. First case is if g of z naught is not equal to 0, then what happens? Then your 1 upon g of z, which is nothing but f of z minus w naught. So your f of z equals 1 upon g of z plus w naught. Okay, so here it is very known that f of z is analytic when 0 smaller than z minus z naught smaller than delta. Okay, so here it is very obvious that f of z has a removable singularity at z naught. Okay, so this proves this one. Okay, see, your function is analytic in the deleted neighborhood and is being bounded as well. So using the previous lemma, right, one can easily prove that the function has a removable singularity at that point. Okay, we just made use of the previous lemma to come to this conclusion. Fine. So this is happening. Fine then. Actually, if you just look for the value of f of z naught, what happens here? F of z naught is 1 upon g of z naught plus w naught. This is gonna happen, but you don't know what is the value of this. Okay, we just modify that one to get this value. Fine. So of course this which leads to a conclusion that f of z has a removable singularity at that point, not essential one. Okay, but in the hypothesis it is given that it has an essential singularity at that point. So here we are getting a contradiction to the hypothesis. Therefore the assumption that we have taken, that is absolute of f of z minus w naught has to be bigger than or equals epsilon, that must be wrong. Okay, we have proved this in the first case. Now let us do the second case. That tells us if g of z naught equals 0. Okay, then what? G of z must have a 0 of some finite order m, right? So if it has a 0 of some finite order m, then g of z can be written as z minus z naught to the power m phi of z. We can write g of z in this way. Fine. So it is quite obvious that if we just make use of this ideology here, f of z may be written as 1 upon z minus z naught to the power m phi of z plus w naught. Here let me just write it as psi of z upon z minus z naught to the power m. So I have taken this 1 upon phi of z to this one. Okay, plus w naught, right? if I try to evaluate the value of f of z naught from this, since here when I write this one, here itself I have the assurance that my phi of z naught is not equal to 0. So of course my psi of z naught, this is also not equal to 0. Okay, I have this assurance, right? This is in other words, this is well defined, right? So this W naught is going to be there, but this will create a problem. So I cannot directly evaluate it. So when I try this limit z approaches z naught to the function f of z, I get here this has some value, but because of this I get this to be infinity. Which means what? So this just concludes my f of z has a pole of order m. Here also I am not getting the essential singularity. So with which we just prove the absolute of f of z minus w naught is smaller than epsilon for at least one point z in the deleted neighborhood of z naught. This completes the proof. Thank you.